wooden floor still creaks under the weight of 1,000 ghostly feet in the long and narrow hallway where the light and the shadows meet. Small motes of dust are dancing in a single beam of the golden sun, floating like the tiny memories of a day that has finally been done. The air is heavy with the smell of the old floor wax and the silent rain. Everything we left behind is caught in a slow and a silver chain. A galaxy of the forgotten moments spinning in the quiet air today, in the middle of the school that has watched the world drift away, searching for the laughter that used to echo against the white wall. Oh, the dust in the hallway rising and falling with the silent call. A universe of the small things that were meant to bless us all. Every speck is a story of a friend or a story of a long lost dream, floating forever in the middle of a shifting and a golden sunbeam. The lockers are empty now and the classroom doors are tightly closed, in the peaceful arrangement that the passing time has finally composed. I walk through the stillness and I feel the vibration of the past, wondering why the beautiful years were never ever meant to last. The dust is the only thing that stayed to keep the ancient memories warm. Can you see the ghost of the children hiding from the coming storm? In the corner of the ceiling where the shadows take a different form. We were so remarkably young, and we were so remarkably sure of the light before we walked out into the middle of the long and the lonely night. Oh, the dust in the hallway rising and falling with the silent call. A universe of the small things that were meant to bless us all. Every speck is a story of a friend or a story of a long lost dream, floating forever in the middle of a shifting and a golden sunbeam, still dancing in the light today as the school year fades away. The blackboard is a deep dark sea where the white equations used to swim, in the middle of a morning that was remarkably and perfectly dim. The teacher's hand was moving in a rhythm of the logic and the grace, while we were looking out the window at a much more beautiful place. The chalk was crumbling into a fine and a white and a powdery snow, falling on the wooden desk and falling on the things we used to know. A cloud of the knowledge and a cloud of a weary and the human sighs, under the watchful and the tired, and the ancient in the teacher's eyes, writing down the future in a language that we didn't understand yet. Chalk dust streams caught in a silver and a fine and a lonely net, holding on to the secrets that the rest of the world was ready to forget. A white haze of the youth in the middle of the green and the golden May, tracing the patterns of a life that was finally and truly on its way. I can still feel the dry texture of the lime on my small and my young skin, searching for the place where the real and the honest life was meant to begin. The eraser has tried to wash away the errors and the heavy mistakes, but the spirit of the words is still alive in the middle of the heartbreaks. Everything we learned was just a shadow of the things we felt inside. Don't wipe away the magic and don't wipe away the ancient pride of the children who were looking for a place where the golden spirits hide. The blackboard is a witness to the questions that we were afraid to ask. Under the heavy and the wooden and the daily and the students' mask, chalk dust streams caught in a silver and a fine in a lonely net, holding on to the secrets that the rest of the world was ready to forget. A white haze of the youth in the middle of the green and the golden May, tracing the patterns of a life that was finally and truly on its way, fading into white today in the middle of the month of May. The shouting has evaporated and the footsteps have finally gone home, leaving the empty playground under the white and the indigo dome. The desks are standing in rows like the soldiers in a silent parade, in the middle of the classroom where the evening shadows are made. The clock on the wall is the only thing that has the courage to speak, a holy kind of stillness that makes the heavy spirit feel so weak. The air is cool and the light is long on the emerald and the schoolyard. Everything that seems so easy has suddenly become remarkably hard in the vacuum of the noise in the middle of the long lost afternoon. After school, silence coming into the world remarkably and far too soon, watching the arrival of the stars and the arrival of the Maytime moon, a sacred pause in the middle of a life that is moving too remarkably fast, finding a sanctuary in the middle of the heavy and the long lost past. The goalposts are lonely and the basketball net is remarkably still, under the shadow of the forest and the shadow of the golden hill. I stay for a moment to breathe in the peace of the empty space, wondering if I can still find a trace of my own and my younger face in the echoes of the silence that are bouncing off the old brick wall. No more pressure of the bells and no more pressure of the lonely call, just the beauty of the emptiness and the beauty of the coming fall. The school is a shell of the memories and a shell of the ancient lore, waiting for the morning to open up the heavy and the golden door. After school, silence coming into the world remarkably and far too soon, watching the arrival of the stars and the arrival of the Maytime moon, a sacred pause in the middle of a life that is moving too remarkably fast, finding a sanctuary in the middle of the heavy and the long lost past. So quiet in the yard tonight, under the fading and the silver light. transparent is peeling away like the skin of a summer fruit, exposing the cold iron that is finally and truly lost its root. It shrieks a little bit when the wind decides to push it to and fro. In the corner of the playground where the weeds have started to grow, a forgotten machine for the flight in the middle of the ancient park, waiting for a child to ignite a tiny and a holy and a golden spark. But the seats are empty and the chains are remarkably and truly stiff, standing on the edge of a memory and the edge of a heavy cliff, of a time when we thought we could touch the indigo in the sky. Rusty swing set singing a lonely and a silver and a heavy white, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the holy sky, going up and coming down in a rhythm of the pleasure and the pain, through the middle of the sun and through the middle of the rain. I remember the feeling of the stomach falling as we reached the peak, and the sound of the laughter that made the heavy spirit feel so weak. We were gravity defying heroes in the middle of a perfect May, before we learned how to walk in a much more serious and a heavy way. Now the metal is a witness to the weight of the growing years, drying all the grease and drying all the heavy and the human tears. The swing is a pendulum that is marking the slow arrival of the fears, but for 1 second I can still feel the wind on my younger face, in the middle of this rusty and this beautiful and this ancient place. Rusty swing set singing a lonely and a silver and a heavy white, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the holy sky, going up and coming down in a rhythm of the pleasure and the pain, through the middle of the sun and through the middle of the rain, creaking in the wind today as the children run away. The chairs are lined up in the gym like the rows of a white ship, and a single tear is trembling on the edge of a young and a dry lip. The principal is talking about the future and the wide open sea, while we are looking at each other, wondering who we're meant to be. The flowers are heavy in our hands, and the air is remarkably thick. The time is moving remarkably and truly and finally and far too quick, a final harmony of the voices that have grown up side by side, under the shadow of the ancient and the heavy and the school day pride. Before we step out of the gates and before we step out of the light, graduation song echoing in the middle of the day so bright, a beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. We are trading the certainty for a world that we don't know yet, under the sun that was always so ready to finally and truly set. The the diplomas are rolled up like the maps of a buried in a golden prize. With the salt of the ocean and the salt of the tears in our eyes, we sing the anthem one last time with the power that we didn't know, feeling the pressure of the spirit and the pressure of the golden glow, knowing that the world will never ever be the same as it was today. Don't forget the names of the people who walked with you along the way, in the middle of the green and the golden and the Maytime day. The melody will stay in the heart even when the words are gone, in the early light of a modern and a digital and a silver dawn. Graduation song echoing in the middle of the day, so bright. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. We are trading the certainty for a world that we don't know yet. Under the sun that was always so ready to finally and truly set. Starting something remarkably new. The wooden surface is a battlefield of the letters and the hearts, marking the place where the story of the ancient love finally starts. I used a compass to dig into the grain of the heavy and the old oak, while the teacher was talking and while the rest of the world never spoke. A permanent signature on a world that was moving too remarkably fast. Trying to find a way to make the beautiful and the young love last. The ink from the pen has bled into the scars of the wooden skin, showing the place where the real and the honest life was meant to begin. Two sets of the initials joined together by a shaky and a silver line, carving names on desks, thinking that the world was yours and mine. A graffiti of the soul in a world that was remarkably and truly fine. The letters are rough and the letters are deep and the letters are true, dedicated only to the memory of the person that was once you. I wonder if the child who sits here now can read the secret code of a traveler who was walking on a long and a silver and a lonely road. Does my name still vibrate with the energy of 1,000 summer days, or has it been polished away by the heavy and the modern and the gray? The wood is a witness to the weight of the dreams we used to have. A little piece of immortality in the middle of the classroom floor, before we walked out of the heavy and the golden and the schoolroom door. The signature remains even when the person has finally moved away, in the middle of the green and the golden and the Maytime day. Carving names on desks, thinking that the world was yours and mine. A graffiti of the soul in a world that was remarkably and truly fine. The letters are rough and the letters are deep and the letters are true, dedicated only to the memory of the person that was once you. Still written in the wood today, even if the heart has gone away. A sudden explosion of the sewer sound in the middle of the air, breaking the silence and breaking the weight of the heavy prayer, a signal for the freedom and a signal for the beginning of the race. Through the long hallways and through the beautiful and the open space, the vibration is still hanging in the dust of the old and the sunny room. A mechanical flower that is starting to remarkably and finally bloom, marking the boundaries of the knowledge and the boundaries of the fun. Now that the work of the first hour is finally and truly over and done, calling us back from the dreams and calling us back from the light, the sound of the bell echoing in the middle of the day so bright, a rhythm for the soul in the middle of the long and the lonely night, a silver reminder of the time that is moving too remarkably fast, finding a sanctuary in the middle of the heavy and the long lost past. I can still hear the phantom ring in the middle of the quiet street, to the rhythm of the heart and the rhythm of the tired and the feet. It told us when to stay and it told us when it was finally time to go. Everywhere the radiant and the golden and the student spirits go. A bell that was a master of the hours and a master of the years, drying all the ink and drying all the heavy and the human tears. The sound is a bridge between the now and the long lost before, waiting for the morning to open up the heavy and the golden door, a sacred resonance that is remarkably and finally and truly whole. The sound of the bell echoing in the middle of the day so bright, a rhythm for the soul in the middle of the long and the lonely night, a silver reminder of the time that is moving too remarkably fast, finding a sanctuary in the middle of the heavy and the long lost past, still ringing in my head today as the school year fades away. A tiny piece of the playground that I carried into the class, small enough to hide and small enough to let the time finally pass. It's a persistent reminder of the world that is waiting outside, under the shadow of the ancient and the heavy and the school day pride, pressing against my heel with a sharp and a little and a holy sting. A physical map of the stones and a map of the things the children bring. I didn't want to take my shoe off because I didn't want to break the spell of a secret that I was finally and truly ready and proud to tell. In the middle of the math and in the middle of the morning light, a pebble in my shoe, catching the glint of the day so bright, a little piece of the earth in the middle of the long and the lonely night, a humble traveler that was walking on along in a silver road, carrying the weight of a tiny and a holy and a stone cold load. I shook it out at the end of the day and I watched it fall to the ground, into the dirt where the rest of the secrets are finally and truly found. It was just a piece of the gravel, but it felt like a mountain of gold in the middle of of a story that has finally and truly been told, marking the arrival of the freedom and the arrival of the sun. We are all just pebbles in a world where the work is never done, rolling through the hallways until the long and the school day run. But for 1 second I was holding the entire world in my shoe, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the holy blue. A pebble in my shoe, catching the glint of the day so bright, a little piece of the earth in the middle of the long and the lonely night. A little piece of the earth in the middle of the long and the lonely night. A humble traveler that was walking on a long and a silver road, carrying the weight of a tiny and a holy and a stone cold load. Just a stone on the ground today, watching the children walk away. White shirts that smell the iron and smell of the morning sun, a signal that the winter and the heavy days are finally and truly done. Short sleeves and the feeling of the air on the young and the bare skin, showing the place where the real and the honest life was meant to begin. The fabric is thin and the fabric is remarkably and truly and finally bright, catching the energy and catching the gold of the midday light. We felt so light and we felt so free in the middle of the schoolyard day, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May, before the heat of the summer turned into a heavy and a stagnant glare. Summer uniform glowing in the middle of the warm and the humid air, a flag of the youth in the middle of the long and the silent prayer, a white and a silver memory of the time that was remarkably fine, walking along the straight and the silver and the schoolroom line. The blue name tag is pinned over the place where the heart is beating fast, wondering why the beautiful and the cool days were never meant to last. I can still feel the texture of the cotton and the texture of the hope, like a sailor trying to hold on to a thin and a silver and a silken rope. Before we grew out of the clothes and before we grew out of the light, the wardrobe is full of the things that are now remarkably and truly tight, a reminder of the size of the soul in the middle of the night. But the whiteness of the shirt is a holy and a sacred and a golden sign that the world was once remarkably and truly and finally mine. Summer uniform glowing in the middle of the warm and the humid air, a flag of a youth in the middle of the long and the silent prayer, a white and a silver memory of the time that was remarkably fine, walking along the straight and the silver and the schoolroom line. White and blue in the sun today, fading far and far away. The red dust is rising behind the heels of my old and my worn out shoes, in a race where there was nothing to win and nothing to really lose. The wind is a wall that I'm trying to break with my young and my thin chest, with the flags of the morning finally and fully and truly unfurled. The taste of the salt and the taste of the iron in the middle of the breath, escaping the shadows of the boredom and the shadows of the death. In the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the Maytime heat, running on the track to the rhythm of the heart and the tired feet. A sprint for the glory in the middle of the long and the lonely street. A circular journey that is leading me back to the place where I started, under the sun that was always so ready to be remarkably and truly light-hearted. The voices of the friends are a blur in the middle of the rushing air. Everything is honest and everything is remarkably and truly and finally there. The horizon is moving, but the goal is always a few more steps away. In the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May, I wanna run until the world is a streak of the emerald and the gold. A story of emotion that has never been fully and truly and finally told, before the heavy gravity of the life began to take a firm and a cold hold. But for 1 second I was faster than the time and faster than the light, in the middle of the day that was so fiercely and remarkably bright. Running on the track to the rhythm of the heart and the tired feet. A sprint for the glory in the middle of the long and the lonely street. A circular journey that is leading me back to the place where I started, under the sun that was always so ready to be remarkably and truly light-hearted. Keep on running in the sun today, until the shadows go away. To think the ancient giant is standing at the corner of the playground wall, a leafy umbrella that was built to protect and to bless us all. The light is a mosaic of the emerald and the gold on the dusty ground, in the only place where the true and the honest peace was finally found. We sat in the roots like the children of a long and a forgotten king, hearing the songs that the wind and the leaves were destined to sing. A cool sanctuary in the middle of the heavy and the midday glare, floating like a green ghost everywhere in the heavy and the Maytime air, sharing the secrets that we were finally and truly ready to tell. Shadows of the elm tree falling in a deep and a quiet and a holy well, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the school day spell. A sanctuary of the green and a sanctuary of the indigo and the light, in the middle of the day that was so fiercely and remarkably bright. The bark is a map of the wrinkles and the bark is a map of the years, holding all the laughter and holding all the heavy and the human tears. I carved a little circle in the skin to mark the place where I stood, in the middle of the world and in the middle of the emerald wood. A bridge between the deep earth and the high and the blue and the sky. The leaves are the whispers of the past that refuse to ever truly die, under the watchful and the golden and the indifferent and the holy eye. The tree remains even when the children are finally and truly moved away in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May. Shadows of the elm tree falling in a deep and a quiet and a holy well, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the school day spell. A sanctuary of the green and a sanctuary of the indigo and the light in the middle of the day that was so fiercely and remarkably bright, resting in the shade today as the years drift away. Behind the old gym where the weeds have grown up remarkably tall, there's a gap in the fence and a gap in the heavy and the brick wall. A kingdom of the rusted pipes and a kingdom of the broken wooden crates, far away from the teachers and far away from the heavy iron gates. We were the masters of a world that nobody else could ever find, leaving the rules and leaving the lessons of the classroom far behind. A sanctuary of the dust and a sanctuary of the hidden and the holy spark, under the shadow of the afternoon and under the shadow of the dark, holding the treasures of the marbles and the treasures of the old stone. Secret hideout in a place where we were finally and truly alone. A fortress of the heart in a world that was remarkably and finally our own. A coordinating space for the souls that had lost their own and their way, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May. We talked about the future and we talked about the things we wanted to be, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the indigo sea. A circle of the trust that was built on a promise and a silent vow, wondering where the friends of the hideout are finally living now. The hideout is gone, but the feeling of the freedom is still so deep. The secrets are buried in the ground where the tired and the lonely spirits sleep, under the pillows of the history that we were destined to finally keep. A little piece of the wild in the middle of the structured and the school day life, beyond the reach of the worry and beyond the reach of the human strife. Secret hideout in a place where we were finally and truly alone. A fortress of the heart in a world that was remarkably and finally our own. A coordinating space for the souls that had lost their own and their way, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May, still hidden in my head today, in a secret kind of way. I sat 3 rows behind you and I watched the light in your hair, trying to find the courage and trying to find the words of a silent prayer. The back of your neck was the only map that I ever really wanted to read, feeding the hunger of a heart that was finally and finally in need. The air was thick with the scent of the soap and the scent of the old book, waiting for a second, for a chance of a single and a holy and a golden look. A revolution of the soul in the middle of a history and a math class, watching the slow arrival of the minutes as the hours finally pass, under the shadow of the teacher who was talking about the ancient wars. First love's classroom echoing with the sounds of the silent and the closed doors. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely and the floors. Everything was new and everything was remarkably and fiercely bright, in the center of the day and in the center of the golden light. I wrote your name in the margin of my notebook 100,000 times, searching for the rhythm and searching for the ancient and the lover's rhymes. We never spoke a word, but we were talking in a language of the eyes, under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the indigo skies. A story of the heart that was written in the middle of the school day haze. The classroom is empty now and the sun is shining on the empty and the desks and the maze, but the ghost of the feeling is still alive in the middle of the lazy days. A sacred vision of a girl that was lived in the center of the light. Everything is finally placed and everything is remarkably and finally right. First love's classroom echoing with the sounds of the silent and the closed doors. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely and the floors. Everything was new and everything was remarkably and fiercely bright, in the center of the day and in the center of the golden light. Still sitting in that room today, watching you walk away. The slate is cracked down the middle like a heart that was finally and truly torn. A monument to the knowledge and a monument to the things that were finally born. The white lines are crossing the dark surface like the scars of the old years, holding all the laughter and holding all the heavy and the human tears. No more equations and no more of the grammar of the ancient and the dead. A final silence for the things that were never ever and truly and finally said. The chalk is dry and the eraser is remarkably and finally cold, in the middle of a story that is finally and truly and finally been told, marking the arrival of the end and the arrival of the long lost light. Broken blackboard in the middle of the day that is no longer bright, a dark mirror for the soul in the middle of the long and the lonely night. A final page of the book that was written in the middle of the schoolyard day, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May. I can still see the ghost of the letters that were written in the old white, floating in the air like the spirits of the long and the lonely and the night. The cracks are a map of the time and the cracks are a map of the heavy pain, through the middle of the sun, through the middle of the heavy and the rain. The blackness is deep and the blackness is remarkably and finally and truly whole, making the broken and the weary and the human spirit finally whole. A final signature on a world that was once remarkably and truly free. teacher has finally and truly moved away. Broken blackboard in the middle of the day that is no longer bright, a dark mirror for the soul in the middle of the long and the lonely night. A final page of the book that was written in the middle of the schoolyard day, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May. Nothing left to write today, watching the chalk fade away. We thought we knew the answers before we even understood the question. Living in the middle of the beautiful and the golden and the youthful suggestion. We laughed at the shadows and we laughed at the arrival of the gray hair, thinking that the world was remarkably and truly and finally and always fair. A circle of the friends with the hearts that were made of the liquid gold. A story of the youth that was never ever meant to grow remarkably old, running through the hallways with a fire that was burning in our eyes. Under the white and the blue and the everlasting and the indigo skies, before we learned about the borders and before we learned about the walls. Young and foolish, hearing the distant and the ancient forest calls. A beautiful disaster in the middle of the long and the lonely halls. Everything was possible and everything was remarkably and fiercely bright. In the center of the day and in the center of the golden light, we made the promises that we could and never really hoped to finally keep. In a silence that is remarkably and truly and finally and deeply deep, we were gravity-defying heroes in the middle of a perfect May Day, before we learned how to walk in a much more serious and a heavy way. The mistakes were many, but the heart was remarkably and perfectly pure, trying to find a way to make the beautiful and the young life remarkably sure, before the heavy gravity of the life began to take a firm and a cold hold. But I wouldn't trade a single second for a mountain of the golden gold, because the beauty of the foolishness was the only thing that made us free. Young and foolish, hearing the distant and the ancient forest calls. A beautiful disaster in the middle of the long and the lonely halls. Everything was possible and everything was remarkably and fiercely bright. In the center of the day and in the center of the golden light, still foolish in my heart today, in a young and a golden way. A sharp silver note that used to command the entire world, with the flags of the morning finally and fully and truly unfurled. It told us when to start and it told us when it was finally time to stop. From the bottom of the hill to the very and the golden and the top. But now the sound is getting thinner and it's getting remarkably weak. A final silence for the things that were never ever and truly and finally said. The teacher is a ghost in the middle of the long and the lonely and the night, floating in the air like the spirits of the long and the lonely and the night. A final page of the book that was written in the middle of the schoolyard day. Fading whistle echoing in the middle of the day, so bright. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. We are trading the certainty for a world that we don't know yet, under the sun that was always so ready to finally and truly set. I can still hear the phantom sound in the middle of the quiet street, to the rhythm of the heart and the rhythm of the tired and the feet. It's a signal for the end of the game and a signal for the end of the year, drying all the ink and drying all the heavy and the human tears. The sound is a bridge between the now and the long lost before, waiting for the morning to open up the heavy and the golden door, a sacred resonance that is remarkably and finally and truly whole, making the broken and the weary and the human spirit finally whole, a final signature on a world that was once remarkably and truly free. Fading whistle echoing in the middle of the day, so bright. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. We are trading the certainty for a world that we don't know yet, under the sun that was always so ready to finally and truly set. Getting quieter and quieter now, until the silence takes a final vow. Two, three, four. On the back of the bathroom door or under the library chair, there's a message for the future that we were finally and truly ready to share. A black marker, confession of a love that was remarkably and finally true, dedicated only to the memory of the person that was once you. We were looking for the immortality in the middle of a schoolyard day, in the middle of the month of the green and the golden and the May. A shaky handwriting that was marking the arrival of the soul, trying to find a way to make the broken and the weary spirit finally whole, a final signature on a world that was once remarkably and truly free. Hidden graffiti in a place where the light can never ever truly be, a secret for the soul in a world that was once so remarkably free. The ink is fading away, but the spirit is carved in stone today, in the house that is quiet, in the house that is finally and truly alone, and truly alone. I wonder if the child who finds it now can understand the ancient code of a traveler who is walking on along in a silver and a lonely road. Does my name still vibrate with the energy of 1,000 summer days, or has it been polished away by the heavy and the modern and the gray? The surface is a witness to the weight of the dreams we used to have. A little piece of immortality in the middle of the classroom floor, before we walked out of the heavy and the golden and the schoolroom door. The signature remains even when the person has finally moved away. In the the month of the green and the golden and the May. Hidden graffiti in a place where the light can never ever truly be. A secret for the soul in a world that was once so remarkably free. The ink is fading away, but the spirit is carved in the stone today. In the house that is quiet, in the house that is finally and truly alone. Still written in the corner today, watching the years drift away. I am walking on the path between the gym and the library hall, under the shadow of the ancient and the heavy and the brick wall. The bricks are warm with the sun, and the bricks are warm with the light. In the middle of the day that was so fiercely and remarkably bright, a final harmony of the voices that have grown up side by side. Under the shadow of the ancient and the heavy and the school day pride, before we step out of the gates and before we step out of the light, a beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely and the night. Everything was new and everything was remarkably and fiercely bright. Nostalgic walkway in the middle of the day, so bright. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. Everything is finished and everything is finally and truly done, under the watchful eyes of the moon and the eyes of the sun. I can still see the ghosts of the children who were walking here before, waiting for the morning to open up the heavy and the golden door. A sacred resonance that is remarkably and finally and truly whole, making the broken and the weary and the human spirit finally whole. A final signature on a world that was once remarkably and truly free. Don't be afraid of the end, and don't be afraid of the deep blue sea. Everything is moving in a beautiful and a natural way for me. A quiet surrender to the night, and a quiet and a sacred grace, stretching across the wide and the silent and the blue space. Nostalgic walkway in the middle of the day, so bright. A beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. Everything is finished and everything is finally and truly done, under the watchful eyes of the moon and the eyes of the sun. Walking down the path one last time, finding the rhythm and the rhyme. The final bell has stopped its ring, and the sun is getting low. Everywhere the radiant and the golden and the student spirits go. I am standing at the entrance with a heavy and a silent vow, wondering where the friends of the school is cold in my hand, and the iron is remarkably and finally stiff. Standing on the edge of a memory, and the edge of a heavy cliff, of a time when we thought we could touch the indigo and the sky. A final silence for the things that were never ever and truly and finally said. The teacher is a ghost in the middle of the long and the lonely and the night. Closing the gates in the middle of the day, so bright, a beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. Everything is finished and everything is finally and truly done, under the watchful eyes of the moon and the eyes of the sun. The lock is a period at the end of a long and a complicated life, beyond the reach of the worry and beyond the reach of the strife. A sacred silence that is remarkably and truly and finally whole, making the broken and the weary and the human spirit finally whole. A final signature on a world that was once remarkably and truly free. Don't be afraid of the end, and don't be afraid of the deep blue sea. Everything is moving in a beautiful and a natural way for me. A quiet surrender to the night, and a quiet and a sacred grace, stretching across the wide and the silent and the blue space. Closing the gates in the middle of the day, so bright, a beautiful goodbye in the middle of the long and the lonely night. Everything is finished and everything is finally and truly done, under the watchful eyes of the moon and the eyes of the sun. Turn the key and walk away. Goodbye to the school day.